If you guys haven't heard by now, yeah, this is the Nick Frazier podcast, and you're getting the best genuine content out there. Right, fellas?
Sure. Agreed.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nick Frazier podcast. I'm your host, says it in the title, Nick Frazier. I'm joined by somebody who's a Nashville native, local. I mean, would you like to introduce yourself? Or you want me to do it?
It's up to you. It doesn't matter to
me. Well, anyways, we have the wonderful Tucker Day from Brentwood High School, local product. He is going into the draft. This is episode 2 of the NFP draft series. Sorry for the little technical difficulties if you hear that in the beginning. I was just talking with Tucker before the podcast, and I was telling him, I guess because it's April Fool's, recording on April Fool's, something's going on with some technology. I don't know, but welcome back, everybody, to the Nick Frazier podcast. I'm your host, Nick Frazier. This is Tucker Day. He is going into the draft this year, and I mean, Tucker, what a year to go into the draft, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, especially the amount of talent coming out, because of COVID, everybody got an extra year, so there's so many guys that use that extra year and are coming out now, and it's making it pretty interesting. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I kind of introed with you being from Brentwood High School and being a local talent, 2-star out of high school, right?
I mean, as a kicker punter
yeah,
we will take whatever stars they give us.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to get to, is that being a 2-star recruit as a kicker or punter is pretty damn good,
Yeah, I guess it was cool at the time.
No, you're good, man. Don't worry about it.
I fixed it.
So, I mean, take me through the process of it all. I mean, I was looking on 24/7, trying to do my research about you. The only 2 offers I saw was Illinois and Mississippi State. Well, there were more, right?
No, I had a lot more in high school. I'm trying to think who was the first. Well, you always get the military schools first.
Right.
Like Army, Navy, and Air Force came in. And then right after that, I got a phone call from Colorado State. Colorado State called me and said, hey, we want to give you like a full scholarship. We'd like to get you out here. And then as soon as that happened, it was kind of like this domino effect. It was San Diego State came right after that. Then Rutgers, then Illinois, then Florida, then Mississippi State. And then on actual signing day, when I signed to Mississippi State, I had Colorado, Boulder, and Iowa come in, like on signing day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like I'd never talked to him at all, and then all of a sudden there's like, hey, we want to give you a full scholarship. That
normally doesn't happen, right? Is that just out of the norm?
I mean, you'd expect it out of like the school up north from here.
Oh yeah.
Like
we don't talk about
the other guys. You'd expect out of them because they'll try to pull like a Mississippi State recruit away, but no, typically that doesn't happen, especially not for like kickers and punters. Like we're if we get one, we're sitting there going, oh wow.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Back in the day when I played ball, I played high school ball a little bit, but I didn't punt. I kind of stopped after junior high and middle school.
Yeah.
But at the time I was like we did an I formation, old school football. I was the fullback. They give me a 12 dive, 13 dive, whatever. I'll go score. And we didn't have a kicker. So I would always run to the sideline, grab the block, and I'd kick my own PATs.
You'd run back on and just like toe poke it through.
No, I actually played soccer. So I actually had the technique.
You used laces.
Yeah.
You used MS. Oh, well, should have stuck with it.
I thought about it. And then once I got to high school,
being called the kicker.
Well, no, it wasn't that. I mean, I don't mind it. I'll take on that title whatsoever. But we had a kid in high school. His name was Anthony Hagee. He actually went to Mississippi State. He went through the ROTC program and stuff. And man, he had a leg. He could hit like a 55-yard bomb. I mean,
it's a good kick in high school. That's a big kick.
Yeah. And he kind of trained in the off season with a kid. He actually went to Air Force. His name was Luke Strabel. I don't know if you know his name.
Strabel.
Yeah.
Luke Strabel. I know Strabel. I
used
to play soccer with him growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I played against him and then played with him.
Yeah, so Hagee would
really good soccer player.
Yeah, very good. I know he made SportsCenter top 10 like back in high school when he did that little half field little free kick. It just doinked in the back.
But yeah, he had a cannon for a leg.
Yeah.
Really good athlete. I remember him.
Yeah, and he ended up playing, I think, all 4 years at Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed the kicking aspect of it, and obviously you enjoyed it because hey, look where you're at now. So,
Hey, it's an art form. I mean, but I tell you what, it's not all, sunshine and rainbows. Like behind the scenes, it's a lot more intense than people realize.
Oh, I bet. So going into the process when you signed with Mississippi State, and you're talking about this intense work ahead of you and whatnot, you have Logan Cook. I believe you guys overlapped, correct?
Yeah, he was the senior punter when I came in, and what was really funny about when I came into Mississippi State was Dan Mullen was the guy who. I mean, he came to my house and hung out with me I'm talking to hours. I'm not going to disclose how late he stayed, but he stayed a long time. And that was really cool. And he told me when we were eating at the dinner table, because he brought in a bunch of food, but I think my mom cooked for him anyways. But he came in and he told me, we want you to come here and kick field goals because we don't have a field goal kicker. And then next year, you're going to do punt, kickoff, and field goal. He wanted me to do all three. And I'm sitting there going, well, I did that in high school. It's not going to be that hard. Well, that's also high school, where, I mean, you could have a game where you don't kick at all because the other team's destroying you the entire time and all you're doing is punting, or you have a game where it's a field day where it's an extra point every 2 minutes. So I was like, oh, that's fine. But yeah, when I came in, it was Logan Cook was the punter, and I actually started my first 2 games at Mississippi State. I was the field goal kicker, and then I had an unfortunate hip problem that I was dealing with just from, like I said, I was used to in high school doing all 3, but in high school I didn't have to practice every single day.
Right.
But in college, you do punt and kickoff one day, field goals every day. So I'm doing punt, field goal, and kickoff all in one day. And I'm doing, let's say kickoff and field goal the next day. And I'm talking kick return, kickoff team, onside return, onside hands team. There's so many different systems that I just tired myself out. And that's what inevitably stopped me from playing my true freshman year. But yeah, Logan Cook and I were pretty good buddies. I actually talked to him the other day. He was talking to me he was asking me how my pro day went and stuff. It was pretty cool catching up with him.
Yeah. It's neat how all that kind of intertwines back to full circle in a way, but kind of bouncing off what you're talking about there with, kicking, punting, doing special teams. So after your freshman year, because it got cut short, they give you a gray year, right? That's the injury reserve.
No, I had a medical red shirt.
Okay.
So yeah, I medically redshirted, and it wouldn't be applied till after my next season. And which worked out for me. Technically speaking, I could play a whole nother year of college football if I wanted to.
Right.
Because this past year I used my medical redshirt year. I used my COVID year.
Yeah.
I used my COVID year.
Okay.
I still have a medical redshirt year. Because technically on the field this past season I was a medical redshirt junior.
Isn't that interesting how that whole NCAA thing works?
So weird.
And I bet you were probably thinking when you got in, leaving Mississippi State now, you're like, man, where was this NIL stuff as a freshman?
Well, so what's crazy is about it all is it's really thrown this huge wrench in a lot of football system. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I think people really players really have an opportunity to create something for themselves. And I'm a full believer that college football players should be, paid.
Yeah. Compensated.
Right. Legally paid.
Right.
And because we're not even gonna get into that, but everybody knows that's going on. But it's one of those type of things where, now you have players like Bryce Young, at Alabama, and these big name guys who are getting paid more than the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And, it comes down to there's going to be a lot of entitlement and stuff going to build up. And another thing that's going to happen, which will be a problem, because no, I'm not going to play this play. I'm already making money. Who cares,
Right.
And then you have an even bigger issue is a school, let's say Rutgers, or just not a small school, but I mean a Big Ten school is trying to compete with Ohio State when it comes to NIL stuff, because the players are going to go where the NIL deals exist the most.
Right.
So recruiting is going to get really hard for those lower tier schools in each conference, but the big schools, it's basically the big schools stay right at the top, right where they are, and the small schools stay at the bottom. Like it's keeping it that way. Like there's not going to be any change.
Right.
Which is, I mean, I guess it's fair because, those schools have the history of it, being great. So there's no issue with it, but like,
it does, like you're saying, it does throw a wrench into things. And like, we've seen a prime example, like locally, if you look at UT, they signed the 5-star quarterback, like $8 million or 18 million or something like that.
$8 million. And he's like, what, the number 6 player in the country or something? Are you a UT fan?
I'm not. I mean, I have some affiliation through friends and stuff, but
that's basically how I am. Like don't get me wrong though, like when they're good, I am so for it, because Tennessee needs to be good in college football. Because with Neon Stadium and that fan base being the booster program, like the alumni at Tennessee is the wealthiest in the country.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Like when it comes to college football.
Every year you look at, like when the NILs first started, which is last year before kind of deal, that money was being buched out every single year.
For basketball and football, and hell, baseball now they're starting to just take off. They're number 1 in the country.
Man.
And I'm here in Starkville, where we have basically baseball's religion here.
It is.
We have a stadium that fits 20,000 people. I mean, our baseball players are getting NIL deals here where they basically don't pay for anything anywhere. We have a guy, Landon Sims, who's one of the best college baseball pitchers in the entire country, who's not even playing this year because he hurt his arm. Like he had faced 11 batters and struck out 10 of them, and then he hurt his arm. But he has a deal with some jewelry store where all he has to do is promote them, and he'll get diamond jewelry and stuff for free.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's a mind-boggling thing. Exactly, it's crazy. But I don't know if Kitson told you this or not, but my brother went to school at Kitson at State, so like
Nate's my guy. I hang out with him all the time.
Yeah, Nate's a great dude, man. He comes on the podcast every now and then. I have an episode with him talking about Mississippi State baseball, but yeah, my affiliation is definitely with the Bulldogs, honestly. Because when my brother first was, choosing colleges, he was like, well, it's either Western Kentucky or Mississippi State. I was like, Tony, SEC school, like you get to enjoy a Saturday with good football. Like there's nothing can go wrong with that.
And like people here, like the people here are so good. And like the town is it's a real college town. Like that's a whole another thing. So you have all these schools that are saying, well, we're the number 1 college town. Well, my buddies and I, we discussed, well, what is a college town? And, because you have Knoxville claims they're number 1. Athens claims they're number 1. Tuscaloosa claims they're number 1. Even Vanderbilt's trying to claim they have the number 1 college town, which if you were to consider Nashville a college town, okay, they might be right.
Yeah.
But that's not a college town. A college town is if the college was not there, would there be a town? And Starkville, if the college isn't there, there's 5,000 people here.
It's in the name.
There's 30.
Yeah, Tucker, it's in the name. It's Stark. The root of the word Stark. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
So, well, we had a good little chat there. We'll carry on here. A little bit back more focus towards you here. When you go into the ideas of kicking in a game, like what's more important to the fact of, is it more the body composure or just getting your foot on the ball and making sure, it's all mental?
All mental. Because everybody at this level has the talent. Everybody, if you make it to a Power 5 school, especially the SEC, and all respects to all the other conferences, but the best talent is in the SEC, and it's not even close. But it all comes down for kickers and punters. It's like, once you have your talent, how good are you at blocking out your coach who's going to be in your face? And I don't know why. I've always been a believer in, you promote, and obviously you want to get on your players if they're not performing.
Right.
but like don't attack them. But I mean, when you get out in the field and you have, I think Starkville, the most we've ever had in the stadium's around 70, but we have like 60,000 people there and they're ringing cowbells, but then all of a sudden it drops silent. And you could hear a pin drop in the stadium when you're out there by yourself. And it is in that moment, your heart's beating really fast and you hone in on, you fall back on your training. That's where you get your confidence from. But if you start fidgeting or thinking about anything else that's not your job, it's not going to be a good punt or a good kick. You're going to miss or shank.
Yeah.
Like it's all mental.
So I assume that happened to you every now and then when you're playing for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, like most times I go out there and it's just like any normal thing, but there was a 2019 or 18 season. I'm in the 27 seconds into the game. I'm standing in the back of Auburn Stadium, and I don't know and there's 100,000 people there. I don't know if you've ever been to Auburn Stadium, but the stands are 2 feet behind the back of the end zone. So I'm having popcorn thrown at me as I'm punting. I remember in that moment, I went, whoa. I was, and my coaches, I had 2 coaches, and they were both telling me 2 different types of punts they wanted me to hit. So then I have more in my head that's just all over the place. And I ended up hitting kind of a ball that was in between what both the coaches wanted. And the guy ended up returning it for like 15 yards or so. He didn't score, but that's like the type of moment where all of a sudden you start thinking about too much and you distract yourself, causing an issue.
Yeah. So when you went into the recruiting process, you kind of had that mindset of knowing, man, if I go play in the SEC, I'm going to play these big venues like Auburn, Alabama, Georgia. I don't know. Did Mississippi State play Georgia once?
I played at Georgia twice in my career.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. So like, did that ever, obviously you did speak on Auburn, but like any other place kind of startle you whatsoever or no?
Playing in the SEC, but more specifically the SEC West, is a total catastrophic mayhem. And it just sounds like a stampeding like herd the entire time. It's never silent. LSU, Georgia, not Alabama. Alabama's not loud.
Really?
I think they expect to win. So they sit there and they don't pay attention to the game. We're up at halftime by 20 points. Let's leave and just go have a good time. Like they don't really get loud, but Georgia is incredibly loud. LSU is incredibly loud. Auburn is incredibly loud. We played at Tennessee once, and it was an 11 o'clock game, cold, and very overcast weather. And they had 90 or 88,000 people show up. And I'm telling you, that was really loud. But yeah, those schools, those 4, Texas A&M, my helmet. So they have like 110,000 people, whatever it is. And we had I was holding for field goal this year. We beat them like this year at A&M. And this was right after they beat Alabama. So we walked in there right after they came off beating the #1 team, obviously in the country, or I guess number 2.
Yeah.
And we just walked in there and beat them and left. But we had a field goal that we had to hit to put us up by, I think, 2 scores.